Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith of Smiths in the Black here at the CPU Group, and we've got new highs for the SPY. Let's take a look at our broader averages to start off. Here we go, SPY goes into the highs again, right? So still taking out last month's highs, last week's highs as we go into all-time highs. So we just stall out here. You can see on the 60-minute, just a slight higher high and then stall out a little bit because you're going to see when I go through here, some of these internals, not really to confirming this, it's a lot of the heavily weighted big boys are doing a lot of the heavy lifting today. If you go to the Qs, QQQ, boom, Momo Hammer week, new highs, and once again, stalling out just a tad, but we're always watching that new 60. Because right as I come on, you got a new 60 to keep an eye on to see, if this corrective activity slightly, is over and starts going blasting back to the highs or what have you. But we go in the highs QQQ. You see a little bit different posture here in the Dow Jones Diamonds. Dow Jones Diamonds stall out, all right, doji. And you're going to see why here in a few when you look at those internals. But here you can see the inside 60, lower left. And you'll see the inside bar, the slight poke up, and then coming back through. So the diamond's potentially here in a little bit of trouble if we can take this out. 349.47. You're there right now for the next hour to see if they want to bring these guys in a little bit because we got some weakness over there. We'll get to that in a moment. You do got crude oil. UCO ripping here, coming up here. So crude on the week, you can see that takes out the previous low, takes out the previous high, and this UCO going to go taking out this and go into the highs. If you take a look at the sectors, though, non-believers, UXLE, don't believe it, and it's XOP. Here, non-believer, OIH. Non-believers. So even though you got crude going up, stock's not participating. You know who was participating today is XLK. So XLK goes blasting into the highs. Now just stalls out like a lot of things. But you always want to, when you're looking at ETFs, you want to know what's in there, right? And so we know that's really heavily weighted with Microsoft and Apple. Right, and you can see a lot of things looking like the futures where they just had that hour where they back off, and then you see that new hour right here in the lower left. They're back to buying, and so you can see Apple and Microsoft are heavily weighted in here, and want to see what that new hour looks like. Once again, Apple now goes outside day, and so once you see a poke down like this, and then starts green here and starts coming back through, we know outside bars exist, so that tells you to go after this thing. And here's your outside 60 to start the day. Now just kind of stalling out just a tad. Once again, we've known about this because of this. These 3 months were an inside bar of that. This is inside quarter to the upside per the macro video. So we've known about that, and it's paying off. If we go also, what's in XLK? Visa. And Visa, you can see this on the daily. 2 up by taking out the previous high. 2 down by taking out the previous low yesterday, and then boom, back through this range. These guys become an outside bar of these two and goes into the highs here. Now starting to back off. A 2-2 reversal on the 60. We'll see if that firms up later and can take this out in the next hour. That 240, 148. Also MA. Both of these are also in XLK. And see, this is the inside week and inside month combination for MA. All right, you see that? There you go. Now backing off on the 60s, like you said, watching that new hour, starting to back off a little bit. We'll see if we can take this out in the next hour above 385.18 if they want to rejuvenate. If you go to overstocks, in overstock, another pattern we look for, the rev strat, the inside week, the poke down, the 1, 2, 2 takes these guys out, right? Stops out the shorts against here, here, and here. Going after last month's highs, we'll see if that can rejuvenate itself here. Watching that new 60 starting to come back up on the new 60. Broader average is still drying up just a tad here in the new highs, and we can expect that. It's called exhaustion risk. New buyers got to step up, but the old buyers got to step up. Somebody does once you get into the new highs. PayPal was having a nice little morning, now backing off like a lot of things on the 60. We'll see if that comes up here. If we go to Wingstop. And Wingstop, inside month to the upside here, right? So that's good all month. Takes out these guys, right? The outside inside 312 monther. So we're going to look and see how this continues. Your outside 60 to start the day, which means that the selling down here was rejected and was still getting rejected, and still going up into here to give you the big outside day for Wingstop. Starbucks, how you doing, buddy? And Starbucks still going, also off the inside month here. So that's good all month. So watching these longer term signals can help to identify your universe, where you want to be, like all month, and for Apple all quarter, right? So if we go to Domino's Pizza, exhaustion risk here as well, but having a nice day, as you can tell. So anytime you'll notice that when I come into Strat Time Report, what I'm looking for is nice long red and green bars on the daily. That means there's activity. Things are happening today, right? So that's what we're looking for. Then we'll see if we get any more shorter term corrective activity to get in, maybe a 15 or something like that. This thing's been pretty strong, though. If we go to China, Baba, China names showing strength today. Baba was an inside day yesterday, then gap and go, and trying to continue up there. If we get to how about a nice 30? There you go. You're inside 30, the 2 down, the inside 30, and now coming up a little tricky in this area. Still have some room to not be an inside week. We actually would have preferred this to the downside so we can get that re-break of that inside month. But China stocks today with also Baidu. Baidu coming up here, another inside day to the upside, still has some distance on the week. So both of those broke those inside months here in the middle to the downside. So like I said, we would have preferred this to the downside, but it is what it is. As it comes back up to your previous range, you've got things like JD coming up here as well, having a nice day, and now drifting into the highs. How's that 60 working for you? Not quite an inside 60, but you can see that does take out last week's highs. That's good. So we'll see how that continues there. If we go to some shenaniganers, AHPI. Here's some fun for you, and this is once again why you watch those 60s, right? New hour, right? Goes blasting up here, and then boom, new hour, puke, right? And then now new hour re-rally, right? So we look at the shorter term time frames. How's that looking on the 30? There you go, on the 30. Inside bar, this red bar was inside of this. Pokes down. Now RevStrat 30, right on the new 30 minute above 797, and there you go. Real nice little 8 minutes there for you. If you go to ANVS, it's been a ripper for the last 3 months or so. It just keeps going, and now inside day to the upside. So that means we can look for more signals above 121.34, which was a nice break here. And now just kind of stalling out. We'll see what we can get going here. If we can get an inside 60, would be nice. If we go to SALM, and SALM now coming in, just a shenaniganer. So it was running, now it's coming in. We'll see now. You can see this on the 60 here, 60 minute. Goes inside, but then drops here. So if we can, just like that last 30 on AHPI, if this can reclaim this after this hour closes out, then you'd have RevStrat back to the upside if they want to bring her up. So we got Analog Devices. What are you doing here, buddy? Analog Devices, and we've been watching this one since the weekend vid. This triangle here, broadening formation, 2-2 reversal, still climbing, still climbing, still climbing. So you can watch that, of course, with your SMH. Here, SMH still looking to try and take out all these highs coming up into there. Crude going to the highs as I speak. On the downside, you get the home builders. XHB taking out yesterday's lows, right? That tells you to look at ITB here, and you can see that taking out last week's lows, right? So home builders having some issues here, and you can look at Home Depot's in there. That's taking out yesterday's lows. Tells you to look at lows Here, still inside day for lows. We'll see if that can break and get worse. Here, up in there. DHI, some of the big boys. DHI having problems taking out last week's lows, taking out last month's lows. KBH, and KBH taking out last month's lows, still having some problems. If we go to now inside on the 60, so you can keep an eye on that. If you go to TOL, Toll Brothers, taking out last month's lows, last week's lows, all sorts of problems over here. So we can keep an eye on that. So it's just Sedge down there. I'm just watching my ticker here to see what's coming up. Sedge coming up a little bit. All right. With the crude coming up, you also got airline problems. And look at the trannies. Transport's trying to go inside day and down here. And the problem with that is you see these 3 months created a shooting star on the quarter. So once you're below here, you're a two up, two down quarter, right? Below this low here, 254.65. So it's at, yeah, 254.65. So you want to keep an eye on that. Airlines they do not like these gas prices coming up here. So you got United going towards the lows, taking out last month's lows. American here taking out these lows. Delta just not liking all these high gas prices, if you will. If we go to like I said, the Dow Jones weaker. Cat Tractor still in a range in here, but you can see obviously a lot weaker than the market coming down, and now you have an inside 60. We'll see if anything comes of that. Boeing, your usual suspects here. Boeing dropping in off of that and taking out last month's lows. That's always a problem. Potentially inside in the 60. We'll see. Like I said, the energy's not participating, and even though the crude's going up, and here you got something like Valero going towards the lows of the day, taking out yesterday's lows, taking out last month's lows, coming down here. Refiners, HFC, how you doing, buddy? HFC just kind of sitting there, but obviously weaker, much weaker than the crude itself. If you go to Triple D here, and you can see this taking out yesterday's lows. That's something I'd want to know about. Last week's lows and going closer to coming down and taking out last month's lows. That tells us to look at SSYS here. Okay, so diamonds tick down on that 60, don't fall apart. Just kind of keeping an eye on things as I'm going along here. Netflix, some of them big boys trying to go to the highs of the day, so that's some of those big boys doing the heavy lifting. How's Sarepta? Sarepta's trying to fight back because we know IBB has been a lot weaker too. Now it rallies back a little bit, and we'll see if it can hold, but you can see anything taking out yesterday's lows certainly has my attention on what's going on here. So drying up just a bit, but here's your SPY, and we want to see on the 30, so we'll see what that does. Right now SPY would be inside on the 30 at the top of the hour, and you can keep an eye on either side of that. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. We've got, like I said, strength in the XLK, weakness in the home builders to keep an eye on for the rest of the day. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith, Smith of the Black, with the Strat Time Report.